This video is brought to you by Patreon provider Dan.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very long time coming, and it's thanks to Patreon provider Dan for making this a reality. As soon as Vortex announced the Gen 3 a little while ago, probably about, 2-3 years or so now, I've been super antsy to get my hands on one of them. Even more so after I got the Gen 2 1 to 6, which what felt like an eternity ago. Without further ado, let's take a look at the end to see exactly what we got. There's everything you're going to need to know. The Made in Japan is a nice little touch. The Razor boxes have always been big, elaborate, and beautiful, and this is absolutely no exception. The fit and finish on this thing is awesome, and this is just the box. But you know what? You're spending $2,000 on an optic. It's nice to know that you got a really nice box to keep it nice and secure. Unlike any other Razor box, though, this is held together with magnets. And Vortex did not skimp on anything. Just look at the presentation here. I'll quickly thumb through this. Beautiful pages. Color, of course. A little hard for you guys to read, but it gives you every little piece of information that you're going to need. How to mount it. Checking the reticle. Beautiful. Fantastic. Resetting your turrets. How to use your reticle efficiently. How to range with it. All solid information that if you were to study these to the fullest extent, you would already be a better shooter just from the information in that little pamphlet. Enough of that, though. Let's crack this open. Got a nice little sticker. Before I get to this, let's see what else we got. We have a spare battery, a little cleaning wipe, inspected by JW. JW, thank you for your service. Got a little multi-tool in there. Attention to properly mount your 18 inch-pounds, which is exactly the same torque settings from that Unity mount that I just reviewed. A little bag of silica. Nice little sunshade. Which, you know what? I'm going to put that on. And then finally, this bad boy. Sunshade screws on there absolutely beautifully. There is an O-ring in there which helps seal it and keep it on, and that looks mighty fine. This thing does not feel that heavy, and before I go any further, I have to know exactly what it weighs, because reading a number, feeling it, and seeing it for yourself are two totally different things. Despite the fact this weighs 22 ounces, it does not feel like it weighs 22 ounces. This feels much lighter than that, and that's a good thing. The Gen 2s, especially the non-E versions, feel like a pig, but they feel very well made. This feels lighter, but yet still feels as well made, if that makes much sense. Starting at the back, you'll find a fast focus eyepiece, which feels absolutely fantastic, very well damped. This is kind of hard to turn, which I absolutely prefer, because you don't want to have this get bumped out of perfect focus for your eye. This feels fantastic. Throw lever on here is a Vortex throw lever. Whether it was included or not, I cannot say, but it is made in the USA, and it's a very nice throw lever. Magnification ring goes from 1 to 10. It is of 180 degrees around, so a throw lever will be nice to go from minimum to maximum in a hurry, but this feels absolutely sensational. This feels as smooth as silk. Damping on it is excellent. Not a single hiccup, rough spot, hard spot, nothing. This is one of the best magnification rings I've ever felt. I would even go as far to say you don't even need a throw lever. It's so easy to turn. But it's not easy in the sense like it's going to move by itself. This just feels absolutely sublime. Oh, I could turn this all day, and that's how you know you have a problem. All right, on to the illumination control. You could see right there, it says pull to unlock. Very similar to the Gen 2. Pull. You have maximum 11 brightness settings with offs in between. You could lock it in any position. Once it's there, it's not going to move, which is great, because if you decide to throw this in your bag and it was off and it accidentally turned to 11, you go pull this out, and guess what you're going to have? You're going to have a dead battery. This feels very good. D10s are very sharp. Requires a good amount of force to turn. The splines on the outside are sharp, but not so sharp you're going to cut your finger like I've been doing with seemingly everything lately. This feels, again, just perfect. Checking out the battery cover, you see we have a very big positive spring in there with a nice O-ring on that edge to keep it nice and weather sealed. We find a Japanese-made Max-L CR2032 standard battery. And a fairly standard yet very high-end battery compartment. Collis. Beautiful. Battery sits in there perfectly fine. And yes, without the cover on it, the battery will still work. All right, on to the magnificent turrets. These things look identical basically to the Gen 2. And the Gen 2s were, again, just about perfect. Let's give these a whirl. Zero play in between detents. Perfect amount of torque on there that you have to apply to turn it. Fantastic. This is, of course, an MOA, as you can see right there. The windage knob is set up properly, even if you're going to be using this for precision. Left, right, you move the bullet to the reticle. So if you're shooting to the right, you pull this left and it will bring the bullet back to the center. This feels absolutely fantastic. There's all the information you're going to need to know right there at the bottom. And wow, this thing is freaking awesome. But enough talking about it. Let's actually get behind it and see what it looks like, shall we?
There's something to be said about an optic that when you look through it, you see so little of the scope body itself that you could almost be mistaken that you're looking through basically just a piece of glass. This Gen 3 performs extremely well in that regard. Look at how little of the scope body you can see, and to the naked eye, it's even less than that in most cases. Here, with a very rigid setup with only one lens looking through it, there's only so much you can get, but this is a fantastic performance. Now, I'm not going to talk for 34 minutes more, basically just repeating myself with what I'm going to have to say during the final review. The 1X and the 10X perform good. Everything between those two are basically perfect. And I think there's a very valid reason that I like to think that VORTEX was smart enough to engineer into the scope when they first got it. Illumination is more than daytime bright. To the naked eye at 11, even in bright sunlight like this, you will go blind. It is insane how bright it is. One thing I don't particularly care is how they illuminated the dot and the little circle around it, because as you see when we pull back out to 1X, that center dot is very, very big. So something to keep in mind. But at 10X, it's a very usable reticle and a very usable image. And I'm gonna cut this short. I'm gonna cut this right here. Under 10 minutes, unboxing, beautiful. Expect the full review coming out on this very soon, because I have to give this back to Dan in a very short amount of time, so I'm going to be pumping this out as fast as I can. Anyway, Dan, thank you very much for sending this in. It's a dream come true, and thank you all very much for watching. See you again next time. And a very huge thank you to all of my Patreon providers. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to help support the channel but don't want to join my Patreon, I completely understand. But you can still help support by using my affiliate links in the description below. Thanks again for watching.